I was broke as, living with my parents, and I just needed to find a job because I owed my parents about $5,000. I worked all day and I didn't make a sale and I came home with no money. I tell you what though, like doing that job, as horrible as it was the best sales training you could ever get. And I walked out into the reception and they shook my hand, looked me in the eye and said, I'm currently in sales and I'd love to get a job in real estate sales. That would wow the shit out of me. They send a resume in like,
hi, I'm looking to get into real estate. Here's my resume. Like,
I don't fucking care about your resume. I was at the office till like midnight, 3 days a week, at least 3 of the weeknights.
In the last 12 months, Plum Property has sold over 350 homes.
Yeah, it would be about that.
Yep.
Right? I didn't want it to be all about me. And that took, I knew I had to get more agents on.
Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of our podcast. Today we have an absolute real estate superstar with us. He's shown people what it's like to go from being an individual agent to a high-performing agent to then a principal and a business owner to now way beyond that. And we'll tell you all about it. Today we have Dan Lee.
Yeah, I'm here.
How you feeling, pumped?
I'm always pumped for a podcast. I love it.
Absolutely.
I've been looking forward to this
Hell yeah.
week.
So have I. There's so much ground to cover, and we are trying to jam-pack this with as much value as we can with the time that we have. But first of all, we're in your amazing office space, probably one of the best ones that I've been to personally. Was this a recent thing? How long have you been in here?
No, I've been here a little over 2 years. Yeah, and it is a good office. All on one level, keeps everyone together.
Do you feel, are you, with now the whole COVID thing and everything happening, people working remote and stuff like that, do you still feel like, especially in real estate, people perform better when they're together in an office floor?
There definitely needs to be some sort of culture, to any business, large business, or really any business. Culture is very important. So having a office where everyone can come to and, work alongside their peers, obviously it's good. I personally think people work better together most of the time. But yeah, it's a mix. We still allow a bit of work from home and things like that.
Nice.
I actually think that a good balance. I actually sometimes, if I work from home for just maybe 4 hours just to have no distractions, I can punch out a lot in that 4 hours. But working at home all week, not good for me.
Yeah.
I need to have that interaction. And for certain tasks within my day, it's better than I am next to people who are helping me.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just go all the way back, man, to surprisingly not that long ago where you were just getting into real estate. Talk us through that time. Did you always know you were going to be a real estate agent?
Not long ago?
Not too long ago.
I was 22. I'm almost 40 now. So
judging by where this company is right now.
18 years is fairly long. But yeah, take us back there.
Take us back all the way.
You want to know my journey from the start?
Yeah, even before real estate.
Oh
did you
God,
always know?
That's a long time ago.
Yeah,
all right.
did you always know?
So, well, I'll cut the boring stuff short. So, finished school, went to uni for a year, went overseas, spent all my money, had the best time for a couple of years, came back at 23, 22, broke. I was broke as, living with my parents. And I just needed to find a job because I owed my parents about $5,000 and I just wanted to get on my feet. And so I was looking in the paper and there was an ad that said, no skills required. You can earn up to $2,000 a week. Inquire today. And I was like, I'll take that. And so I ended up in this agency. They call it an agency. Anyway, it was a little oversold. It was basically face-to-face sales, right? Okay. That hardcore type face-to-face commission-only sales. When you're in a shopping center, right? You're walking through, you see someone with a table, and they're spinning something around to catch your attention, and you don't want to make eye contact with that person.
Yep.
Because you know what's going to happen.
Yep.
They're going to try and sell you something like World Vision, maybe some lifeguard tickets to win some fancy car, or, there's a whole bunch of these kinds of things. Well, this was basically, I was one of those people. And okay. My job was to sell Optus, right? And I had to stop people and try and get them to change their home phone and internet to Optus.
In the middle of the shopping center.
In the middle of the shopping center. And
Right.
I'd be put at a different location every day.
Yeah.
And so I had to close people like really quickly, because if people left and they wanted to think about it, or, you know, they
Yep.
wanted to take the information away and, you know, not do it right then and there, then I wasn't getting paid because it was commission only. So I had to and it was really a numbers game. This company drilled into us like, you cannot let any opportunity go. And it really was true, right? The more people that we stopped
Yep.
and had a conversation with and quickly pitched and found out as much as we could, the more chance that we would have to then close them on the deal, right?
Yeah.
And we had some deals, right? And I could save someone $60 a month instantly. And I knew you get to know your pitch.
Right.
Really
Yeah,
well, right?
yeah.
And so I understood the power of numbers in sales, right? And that job also, you wouldn't believe the amount, well, you probably would believe the amount of rejection you get, right?
Yeah.
Because just think about yourself when you see someone like that trying to catch your attention in the shopping center, you instantly just like, oh,
Look
no,
down,
thank you.
yeah.
No, and you pretend you're on your phone or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes we'd get really nasty people, you know, tell us to F off and get a real job, you loser, and stuff. Like, people would say some pretty mean stuff
Yeah.
to you. But, you know, it was water off a duck's back, because I just didn't care. I just wanted to...
Like straight off the bat, it didn't affect you at all?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it does. Like, in the beginning, you get thicker skin as you
Yeah.
go along. I mean, the first few days, probably the hardest. But you know, after a while, it's just nothing, because you
Right.
just do it so much. If you get rejected a lot, you just get used to it, right?
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I got really good at this job, right? Surprising. And it was a terrible job. You should have seen the turnover. There'd be 5 new recruits every 2 days into this business,
Yep.
and 5 more out the door. Hardly anyone survived, because it was just so brutal.
Shit.
And you could stand there all day, and on a Thursday, it was 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. late night shopping if you're at one of the Westfields or something.
Yeah.
So it was a 12-hour day on your feet all day. And if you didn't sell something, you didn't get paid anything. I don't even know if that's legal now. Holy shit.
Yeah, probably
like,
can't.
this was 20 years ago.
Yep.
And, you know, so there was a few days I worked all day and I didn't make a sale, and I came home with no money. And, man, that was frustrating.
Yeah.
So I just made sure, like, I made the use of the numbers. So I would stop every single person that I could and try and sell them this deal. And I just got really good at it, right? And I got really good of objection handling. So that was the thing with this thing. So I could stop someone and say, oh, excuse me, sir, just 1 second. I just need to know who your home phone is. It's probably with Telstra, right? And they'd just go, yeah, how'd you know? Oh, I know these things. I can see it in your eyes. Now, let me show you something. I'm just going to
Nice.
show you how I'm going to save you $60 a month. Right now, it's going to be the best news you're going to tell your wife this weekend. And I would go through this thing quickly, and I would show them how I'm going to save them $60 a month, and then I would try and close them. So how about it? Why don't we just save you this money right now, and you can go home and tell your wife? And they would throw an objection at me. Oh,
Right.
I better ask my wife, or I need to think about it, or all these other objections. And then I would just have to work on that objection, turn it around into or try and turn them around into, no, you need this right now.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But the more that we did it, the more
times it worked.
sales I would get.
Yep.
And so, you know, after doing that for about 6 months and building up a fairly big team, and they thought, you know, this guy's the guy, you know. They wanted to build me up into like the next big thing with my own team, and I did have a team, so I was like now training these young people how to do it. But then I just realized I don't want to be in this forever. This is like this is not for me, and I didn't really like the style of the company. It was very churn and burn employees. You know, if they left, they were useless, terrible people. Don't talk to them. It was like just kind of culty.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I just knew it. Well, that's not really for me. I tell you what, though, like doing that job, as horrible as it was the best sales training you could ever get.
I can imagine.
Mate,
that
like
many
I
reps.
did uni for 4 years to get a business degree, and I can tell you I learned more in that 5-6 months I was in that job than anything that uni did for me.
Yeah.
Right. How to work people, how to like close, very important. How to objection handle, and just understanding the power of numbers and sales. That's like, if you know that, and giving me the thickest skin ever.
Yeah.
So that like nothing could knock me down.
Right.
Right. Like that in itself was so valuable for me to then transition into real estate. Right. Because I reckon one of the reasons why a lot of people fail in real estate is they don't have thick skin. Okay, they get knocked down a few times, they come in really hot, like, yeah, and they have a couple of good weeks, and then they get bashed down a few times, and then a couple of days later they're just not putting in the same effort, and then gradually they're just not doing anything at all, and that's why they fail, right?
Yeah.
But anyone with thick skin who just gets up and does it every day, they're always successful in real estate.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter who you are. I honestly believe anyone can be somewhat of a success in real estate. Some will naturally be better than others, but if you put in the grind, if you don't let, getting beaten down, knock you over for more than a couple of minutes, then anyone can make money in real estate. I really believe that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So going back to that, I then left that job and then actually went into another face-to-face.
Yep.
Some guy I knew from there had gone and joined another business. He was like, oh, this is way better. I'm doing door-to-door selling.
Oh, the next level up. Yeah. The next level up.
It wasn't the next level up.
It's almost like now that you look back.
This job was almost nearly worse. And it was even
God.
more culty.
Yep.
So I joined this new cult, right?
Yep.
Which was selling water filtration systems door to door.
Right.
Okay. So like,
What a thought. Okay.
Like a never fail, the dentist, and you go get your little cup.
Yeah.
Water, those things, but not where they deliver the water. It has like a filter in the middle. And so you pour water in the top and it goes through the filter and then it goes into the chill system. And then, so you just fill it up with your home tap water. But we were selling these things to residential homeowners. So it was knock on the door.
Yep.
And hey, how's it going? I'm such and such from Healthy H2O, it was called. Just here to give you some information about your tap water and why it's not really healthy to drink a lot of it,
Yep.
And look, here's our solution. Have one of these in your home, These are all the benefits. Only $16 a week for 2 years. Here, sign up. And mate, again, that was commission only.
Right.
So I got paid $90 for every one that I sold. All right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I would be knocking on doors from, we could only start at 9 o'clock and then up until like 6 every day. And I would go into this place and they would say, all right, you're working this area, go out there. And I basically just walk streets all day, knocking.
Right.
And mate, again, that was brutal. And in the summer, hot. And, in certain areas, it was funny because you would think that the hardest areas were the like in the nicer areas. And I got way more sales in the lower demographic areas. And the people were way friendlier in the lower demographic areas, like where the people didn't have as much money.
Right.
It was way more fun working those areas because people were super friendly when I knocked on the door, and they would have a conversation. They wouldn't always buy, but I would actually make way more sales in those areas. And then in the nice areas, mate,
had more resistance?
Oh, so hard to sell in those areas. Like they
Okay.
would just open the door and just go, not interested. Boom.
Yeah.
So,
Those are rough. Those
yeah.
are rough.
Anyway, again, just getting really good at, closing a different type of product, and again, that rejection all day, every day. Mate, it just set me up for success in real estate, because real estate's full of rejection as well,
all day, every
right?
day, yeah.
And I think a lot of people come into real estate, they've never actually done proper rejection sales where they're
Never
reaching
got
out.
rejected in their real life. Yeah.
It's not the same as working in a mobile phone shop and the customers come into you and you just, or some sort of retail where a customer comes in and you just serve the customer. They're already there looking for something. You're going to people and trying to get in front of them and sell them something that they didn't even know that they needed.
Yeah.
So you just get rejection.
And that's so huge, by the way. I just want to point that out, that you going into a shop and buying something is totally different from someone that you never met coming into your space, telling you you need this, and then convincing you like, yes, I do need this, and then getting you to pay, which
Yeah.
is so difficult to do, and it's so crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what sales is.
That's real sales.
That's real
right?
sales,
Like
yeah.
if someone comes into your jeans shop and they're looking at the jeans and you just walk up and say, "Can I help you? I'm looking for a pair of jeans." Well, let me help you. Yeah, you look. Try these on. Oh, you
Yeah, like,
look
I'm
great.
so good at
They're already
sales,
there
yeah.
to buy. So yeah, real sales is like getting your product in front of someone who didn't even know that they needed it,
Yep.
and making them realize that they need it.
Yeah, which is it's crazy, and especially online, I see this a lot of the time. A lot of people when they see stuff like this, and me and you were talking about like Andy Elliott and stuff before. Like when you see hardcore sales advice and people doing sales jobs, first of all, salespeople get the most hate, just as a international rule. But then number two, most people, especially young people nowadays, don't think it's actually possible. They just think, well, if they come to my door, I'm shutting the door on them straight away. And like, yeah, but then they just, if you do it enough, there will be people you're actually able to convince and help out.
Oh, 100%. And here's the key. A lot of it is in first just understand, because there's a process, right? You got to understand, like, you got to get someone engaged with you first.
Yeah.
Right? So the first thing that we always worked on in the sales, like whether I'm knocking on a door or I'm stopping someone in a shopping center, is an icebreaker.
Oh, okay.
All right. So this is the thing that you do to get the person just to engage with you for a conversation without first selling them something. Right. So if I was knocking on the door, what I would do is I would make an icebreaker, something about their garden. Like they would open the door and I don't go straight into my pitch. Hey, I'm from, Healthy H2O, and I'm here to tell you about, because instantly they've got their guard up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, there's a salesperson.
Yeah.
Oh, no, right? So what I would do is, someone answers the door and I go, "Oh, sir, I just wanted to point out to you, those garden gnomes over there, where did you get those? Because my mum loves garden gnomes, and mate, if she saw those, she would be knocking on this door to buy them. So I was just wondering, where'd you get them?" And then
Yep.
they'd just be like, "Who
Bunnings,
is this
yeah,
guy? What's
yeah.
it?" And they'd start talking to me
Yeah.
about the garden gnomes, and they go, "Oh, mate, by the way, my name's Daniel, and I'm actually here for this." Right, and by that time, the person's actually engaged with me,
Right.
and they'll give me a chance.
Right.
So there's the icebreaker, then there's the reason for why you're here, then there's the offer, and then there's the rejection, right, or objection. So the offer and the close, right? You try and close. If they give you an objection, you objection handle and reclose.
Right.
And then if they give you another objection, you objection handle and you reclose again.
Yeah,
And if they
right.
if you can't close them on the third time, it's usually game over.
Right.
But that would be the process I follow
That cyclical
for every
process.
single person
Yeah.
that I talk to, right? And I do that still in real estate when I'm making a call to book an appraisal, right? So I don't just call someone up and say, "Oh, hello, it's Daniel from Plum Property, and I'm just calling you to see if you would like an appraisal on your home." And they say, "No, I'm okay." "Okay, thank you, bye." Right? Which is what a lot of untrained salespeople might do.
Yep.
And look, there's nothing wrong with giving it a chance and a go, but I'm saying if you are really skilled and really know how to do your sales pitch, and getting an appraisal is a sales pitch, okay? Like there is a skill to calling someone up and getting them to understand that they do need to know what their property's worth, and the information's right here and they should let you give it to them.
Yeah,
Okay?
absolutely.
So I would use the same format when I'm going for an appraisal. And that is, I would start with an icebreaker, right?
Yeah.
So I call up, and rather than going, "Oh, hello, it's Daniel from Plum Property here. I'm just calling you because of this," right? Because instantly, guard up, geez, an agent's calling me, most people are just thinking, "Oh, get me off the phone," right?
Yeah.
Instead of that, as soon as someone picks up, I'm like, I already know their name because I've got all their details and everything. Let's say I'm calling a guy called George, right? George picks up, "Hello?" I'm like, "George, mate, I am so glad you picked up. I did not think you would."
Right.
Because it's 6 p.m. at night, and who picks up their phone at 6, right, George? And then they'd be like, "Who is this?" "George, it's me. It's Dan Lee from Plum Property." right? And so I would just throw them off a bit.
Right,
And
okay.
then they wouldn't even know whether or not they even know me.
Right.
Just by the way that I engage
Introduce
with the
yourself.
phone call.
Yeah, okay.
And then all of a sudden they're like, yes, and what are you calling about? George, we've spoken before. I may or may not have even spoken with George. I just would say it. Mm-hmm. But I'm actually in your street at the moment,
Right.
because I do this once a year for every person in the suburb. I actually update the value of every home in your suburb once a year. It's because I'm the area specialist, right? And so this week I'm doing your street, and you know, a number of your neighbours have asked me to come over tomorrow night to do their appraisal. So I'm going to be in your street tomorrow, Arva, and I've got a few more on the next night as well. I thought I could pop in for 5 minutes and just update the value of your home, right? I might get an objection. I handle that objection and reclose as to why he does need it. Mm-hmm. And again. So I follow that same process. And sometimes I don't get the appraisal until the second or third objection handle, right? But then I do get it, and then that's the start of the relationship with that person.
Gotcha.
Who will one day sell their home.
Right.
I don't know when it's going to be, but I just know if I build enough relationships of homeowners within the area that I want to service, I will get a portion of those back.
Right.
As listings, as future business.
And you built the foundation of all of these first at the supermarket face-to-face and then the door-knocking sales job.
Yeah.
So now that we're back there, was that the last job you took before you went into real estate?
Yeah, so after the selling the water coolers, door to door, I said, enough of this. I want a career, because I wasn't really looking for a career at that stage. I was just looking to make 10 grand to pay my parents back and, buy myself a car.
Yeah.
And then it was career mode. I was 23 and I was like, no, I need a career. And I'd realized at that stage, I love sales, right?
Yeah.
Sales is awesome. And I'm good with people. It's what I like doing. I love talking. I love the thrill of the sale. I think everyone in the world should practice sales. It helps in so many facets of your life. And so I knew I was good at sales, and I was like, well, I want to go and make a career out of this, and I don't want to sell something that makes $80 every time. I want to go and sell something that actually makes real money.
Right.
And real estate had been on my mind for a long time, so I was like, I'm going to go try my hand at real estate. I'll find out what it's all about. So I went around to a bunch of offices that looked good, put my suit and tie on, went in, and I didn't put a resume in anywhere. I just walked into offices, and I said, can I speak to the director, please? And I would meet the director in all these businesses, and I would say, my name's Daniel, I'm working in sales at the moment, and I'm looking for a career in real estate sales.
Right.
And pretty much every single one that I went to offered me a job, and I think pretty much because principals of a real estate business can identify potential talent immediately, because anyone that walks into I'll tell you what, if a young person walked into my office today in a suit and tie and asked for me, and I walked out into the reception and they shook my hand, looked me in the eye and said, I'm currently in sales and I'd love to get a job in real estate sales, that would wow the shit out of me.
Right.
Surprisingly,
no one does it, right?
It hardly ever happens.
Yeah.
Because young people these days, well, I don't know if it's just these days or ever, but they just send resumes in. They
Definitely
send a
these days,
resume in like, hi, I'm looking to get into real estate. Here's my resume. Like, I don't fucking care about your resume. Like, I don't even look at resumes. They mean nothing to me in sales. Sales to me, I'm looking for energy. I'm looking for hunger, passion. I'm just looking for someone who's willing to get off their ass and give it a shot. Show some courage. Walk in and ask for me and come in and shake my hand, because that's what we've got to do in sales and in real estate. So anyway, moving on from that. I was a sales associate for about a year and a half for a very high-performing agent at the agency that I ended up starting with. And I just went straight into that with that attitude of, first of all, I needed to figure out how this worked.
Yep.
Right? So for the first month, I was just like listening to my boss, and I was just like, doing what I'm told. But I quickly realized okay, sales, they don't just walk in the door and they're not getting them for like I didn't understand how listings came about. You know, I had to learn how does the agent get listings.
Right.
And I figured out, okay, all these listings she's getting, it's actually from people, because I'd always ask whenever my mentor got a listing, I'd ask her, where'd you get that listing?
Right.
How'd you get that? Oh, that was someone that I met 6 months ago, and they were looking to buy here, and then I went over and did an appraisal for their house, and then now they're selling. And I was like, okay, so they met them 6 months ago, did something for them then, kept in touch, and pretty much all the listings she was getting were these relationships that she'd built ages ago. So I was like, this is simps. This is easy. I just gotta get in front of these homeowners, and I've just gotta provide value and stay in touch with them, and eventually someone's going to sell with me. And then and she was very keen on me always booking her appraisals, and I didn't instantly understand what this was all about because none of these people wanted to sell, but I quickly realized, okay, she's building the pipeline.
It's a relationship.
Right? It's a pipeline.
Yeah.
You've got to build these relationships, and the long term, be thinking long term, not catch and kill who's selling now. Like,
That's a huge thing that I see with real estate agents all the time. They're so focused about, probably because they're coming from a place of insecurity and they need money to pay the bills or whatever it is, but they're so focused on catch and kill, and they don't follow up with any of their longer term leads. They're not interested with anyone who's not selling in the next 3-4 weeks. Like, it's ridiculous to like meet someone and then expect that they're going to sell their house with you right now, which is not how it happens at all. So was shifting your focus to a more long-term view, was that, I guess, the biggest sort of impact that your career faced, and when it was taking off, that it was so much better and so much more, accomplished than your competitors, for example?
well, just having that mindset that I'm not looking for sellers right now, because they'll come across you anyway, right? Like, if you just do the work, if you're making all these relationships and you're doing all this stuff, people who are going to sell now, they just come across your path anyway.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because there are a percentage of people who are selling now.
Like 2% or something?
Yeah, but if you're just looking for them all the time, you're like, there's so much other stuff to be doing for your future business, right?
Yeah.
And there's not enough just sellers right now to be focusing on. So, like, in doing the work of just building a pipeline, you just come across certain people that are going to be selling maybe in a month, in 2 months, 3 months, and then those people you service at a different level to someone who has said, I am not selling anywhere in the near future. Someone who's not selling anywhere in the near future, okay, they're still going to hear from me, but they're not going to hear from me every month.
Right.
They might hear from me every 6 months, every year, and they'll get a newsletter from me, and they'll get something in the mail from me every now and again. But people who I identify who are selling within 3 months, they're on a different level of contact. And people who are selling in 1 month and haven't yet signed with someone are getting an even more extreme level of contact.
Gotcha.
So it's moving people from being like C class to B class to A class in terms of their time frame.
Right.
And not just focusing on A class, which a lot of agents do, right? And they just don't focus on building C and Bs. They're just looking for A's all the time. The best agents out there, they're doing all of it, right? And they've got a team to help them, because eventually it gets so hard to do more and more and more all on your own. So you build a team to help you scale. Anyway, I focused on that. Like, once I'd done my 1.5 apprenticeship as an associate agent, I was out on my own, and I just knew exactly what I needed to do, right?
Which
and
is?
I killed it right from the get-go.
Yeah.
I smashed it out of the park.
What did you think that you had to do? What did you know you had to do?
I had like a plan every month. It was like I got given a suburb from my office, and I said, righto, and I broke it down. There was about 5,000 people in the suburb, but I split the suburb in half, and I just said, I'm going to focus on this side of the train tracks, right? I'm just going to do this half. And my goal was to get to know every single homeowner in the whole suburb, right? So that was my goal. That's my job.
Get to know them.
And in doing that process, I'm going to find sellers along the way. And yeah, it's going to be it's going to build momentum,
Yep.
right? I'll get my first will lead to a second and a third and a fourth, and I'm just going to build this pipeline. So all I focused on for like the first year was getting inside 30 homes in my area every single month, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not someone was a seller or not, didn't matter, okay?
Right.
I just wanted to get to know them, give them some information, and then put them into what's known today as a funnel system.
Yeah.
I didn't really call it a funnel back then, but it was essentially because they would go into like a spreadsheet at the time, or you can use a CRM these days. But, and that I would class all of these people as A's, B's, and C's.
Yep.
A's being selling in the next 60 days. B's being selling in the next, maybe it was selling in the next 3 to 4 months.
Yep.
And then C's anywhere after that.
Yeah,
okay?
awesome.
But all of these people would get a monthly email from me about the market. They would get any property videos I'd done, any sales I'd done, all my listings, and some information about the market. And then depending on the suburb their property was in, every 3 months they would get a report on their particular suburb,
Right.
emailed to them. And then every 2 months they'd get a letter in the mail from me. And every 6 months they'd get a touch base call from me just to see how things are going, if they needed an update in real estate, if they had any plans, if they knew anyone that was needing any assistance.
And do you still recommend that mode of approach
100%.
for all the young agents out there?
100%. It's like the one foolproof system that still today is
Works.
so relevant, right? And yeah, there's all the marketing and social media and this and that, but like that's all an added layer.
Yeah.
If you're just doing that,
Yeah.
you don't get anywhere. Like if you come into real estate and go, I'm gonna have the best social media profile, you're fucked. You're not going to do that well. You need to do all of that base layer stuff
Yep.
first, right? Building relationships. And the social media is on top of that. So
Yep.
all of these people that you've already built this relationship with, that you've done something for, now they see you on social media doing stuff. They're like, oh, there's Dan. He's at it again. Look at him. He's got this. He's got that. If they don't know you and you're just on their screen like some random agent, they don't give a shit. Like,
Right.
But if they know you already,
Yeah.
right, they've got a connection with you somehow, then they're like, oh, I know him. And they see, and then they'll watch,
Yep.
and they might follow, and then they're engaging because they know you and you've done something for them.
Right.
Right. So that is the fundamental layer that you actually should, as an agent, focus on first. And then on top of that, all the marketing that you do is 10 times more effective, right? Hear me out here. If you do a letterbox drop, right, for someone, think how many letterbox drops people get. Like, I have a house, and in my letterbox about every week, I will check my posts about once a week, and I reckon there's 6 different agents' letterbox drops in there,
Yep.
right? They mean nothing, right? And if I was a punter, I look at them because I'm an agent, right? But if I was a random punter, they would mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
But if I knew one of these agents, right, I would look at it every
Yeah.
time.
Right.
Because I know them.
Oh, there's this guy.
You know, like, you're just curious. If you know someone, you're kind of curious as to what they're up to.
Yeah.
And you're kind of curious to their what success they're having.
Right.
Right. So if I get to know someone and then I do something for them, the next time they receive my letterbox drop, regardless of whether they're in property or not, they're more likely to read it if they know me. Right?
Yeah.
So your marketing effect on people is like probably 4 or 5x its impact
Just by.
if they know you.
Yeah.
If they don't know you,
Yeah.
the impact you're going to have on them from your marketing is way less.
That's so
right?
important, because when we used to run our real estate office, and I used to be talking to 3, 4, 5 different real estate agents looking for social media marketing every day. And every time I would hear, oh, I'm just so sick of doing door knocking. I don't want to do that anymore. Can we just do like something where they come to me? And I'm like, bro, please, like, that's not the main thing. This is an add-on. This is gonna help you, and it'll do you really well. only if you have the basics in dial.
Yeah.
So it's awesome hearing that from you, so that this message can finally just be out there that you can't escape door knocking or calling.
Because once you've done the initial thing with them, the first relationship, and you've built that, and you've done something, you've initialized some trust and a small relationship, then all of that stuff can just be the little touch point that you're just doing every time to remind them, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And they don't forget you because of that. And you can touch thousands of people at a time.
Right.
But that one door knock you do to get that initial relationship is the most important part of the whole thing.
So the conversion rate just goes straight up.
And that is the difference between you one day having a sale and one day not, right? So like never ever ever agents never ever ever give up those door knocks and those calls to build those relationships in your marketplace. It is the number one thing that you need to build a real estate sales business.
Awesome. And now you had all this, I guess, tools in your toolbox when you were starting out in real estate. And then talk to us just really quickly about your growth and at what point you decided to go, you know what, I'm going to go out on my own.
Yeah, sure. So look, I did a couple of years on my own. I got so busy. It was probably the busiest I've ever been in my life as a single agent. And I probably didn't make the move to put on an associate quick enough because I just didn't have the advice. And I was just like in my early 20s and just trying to figure it out. And, didn't really run the numbers of, and I think a lot of people don't put on a sales associate because they're scared, they get scared of paying 80 grand for a good sales associate. You know, that's after super and bonus and everything. It probably would cost you that much roughly for a good one. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, no, I won't do that. I can just do it myself and save the money. But not realizing that you can only go so far by yourself, right? And it took me a while to realize that and put on an associate. I should have done it sooner. Once I did, skyrocketed. So I went from doing, this is ages ago, so this is probably 2010, 11, put on a sales associate. I would have gone from, so I was doing maybe about 3 to 350 GCI.
Yeah.
It was a lot
back
more.
Then too. Yeah.
To then doubling that in about 12 to 18 months with an associate.
Ridiculous volume, right?
Yeah.
How much were you doing?
So, you put on that associate that cost 80 grand, but allows me to double the amount of productivity I do and capacity that I can take on.
Yeah.
And double the amount of prospecting efforts that we make because, the associate does prospecting with you. Mm-hmm. And don't make the mistake of just getting the associate to do prospecting. I did just as much prospecting as the associate, so we were doubling it. Right?
Yeah.
So then from there, it's getting another one, and then getting eventually got a sort of a marketing listing admin. So 2 associates and a marketing listing agent. So I had a team of 4, and in my final years at that office I worked in, I was doing 800 to $1 million in GCI. 2000.
In terms of volume, what was that in 2014, 15?
That was about probably 55 to 65 deals a year at that time.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and then I never. So then there was the transition in my own business. So I was about 31 years old. I'd been at this agency for almost 10 years. Look, I was promised that. I made my intentions really clear that I love leadership and, I wanted to go to the next level in my career. I wanted to be part of either this agency or something. And I was just promised a lot and it wasn't delivered. And so I eventually said, well, I can't stay here because I can't grow any further here.
Yeah.
They're not prepared to give me what I need. Mm-hmm. And so I left and I went into competition with that office and I started my own agency out of my apartment. So I had an investment unit about 200 meters up the road. Mm-hmm. I got the tenants out and I just said, you know what, I'll just run it from here. And it was bloody scary. Did I know I was going to be successful? Nope, I didn't. Was there a chance that it was a bad idea? A chance, yeah. But I thought, you know what? If I don't try, I'll never know. And I've got to do this. Like my heart's telling me I have to do this. So I did it, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as hard as I thought to get business at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the worry in a lot of agents' minds is, oh, will people still list with me because I don't work at the big fancy office anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was drilled into me that would happen from my principal and stuff there. They laughed at me, actually. They said, no one's going to list with you because you don't even have an office.
Really? They laughed at you
what are
to
you
your
going to take
face?
your clients into your bedroom, are you? And like that, they said this stuff when
Oh,
I was
shit.
leaving.
That's fucking rough.
And I just said, yeah, well, you know what? Most clients won't even know I don't have an office because I'll go to their house, so stuff you. And that was the truth,
Yeah.
right? Actually, no one even knew I was in an apartment. I had a pretty good-looking website. And, you know, to be honest, I thought, how many people actually come into my office? No one. They come into my office to pick up keys when it's settling.
Right.
And I can quite easily go to them. Most of the time, I'm going to people. I drive to a seller's house. I'm talking to a seller over the phone. I'm closing them over the phone, or I'm closing them at their house. And if there's the odd occasion where I can't be at their house, I could just meet them at a cafe or something. So I thought, look, if I miss the odd listing because I don't have an office, so be it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I may have lost one listing one time that I can remember where someone said, oh, look, mate, you know, we're just concerned that you don't have an office. I only remember it happening once in the entire 18 months that I was in there.
Right.
And I made just as much money being in my apartment as I made at the office in my first year.
There we go.
I mean, I worked my ass off. Don't get me wrong. Like, I went all in, and I sacrificed even more of my time to make sure that this thing was a success. And not only that, I became a business owner.
Yeah.
So I wasn't just an agent, which is an 8 to 10 hour job in itself each day, plus Saturday. It was do that, plus your website, your marketing, your lead generation, your bookkeeping, I did everything because I didn't have any employees.
Right.
But I did have my business partner, but I threw the job of growing the rental business onto him. So he was just full on because, I got him a couple of leads.
So you did
pretty quickly.
everything with residential.
I did everything. So I was the admin, I was the bookkeeping, I was the trust accountant, I was the marketing person, I was the social media guy. I did all the back end of the social media, Facebook, everything. I did all my listings, I did upload, I did all my text, I did all the brochure ordering, I did all the signboards, I did everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And it added an extra probably 5 to 6 hours a day to my plate. So
Yeah,
I was
holy shit.
doing 15 to 16 hour days
Yeah.
for the first year. And it was hardcore, right? Plus Saturday.
Yeah.
I was at the office till like midnight, 3 days a week for at least 3 of the weeknights. That, and trying to fit in like being healthy, gym and all of that, really.
That all goes out the window at one point.
Mate.
Yeah.
But, the weeks went by real quick. We had a mission, and I could deal with it. I was young, single, and my only responsibility was me. So I was able to do it then,
Yep.
right? Could I do that now, what I did then? I'd really struggle now.
Yep.
I've got a child and a partner to look after, and I've got, other responsibilities. But I could do it then. But I can certainly tell you that it's probably the thing that stops a lot of people from going out on their own is the fact that they know they're going to have to do all these other things.
Yeah.
And they either don't want to because they know they're going to have to make sacrifice, which is true, right? You've got to sacrifice. I had to sacrifice stuff like a lot more personal leisure time, going out with my friends, going out and chasing girls and finding a girlfriend. I didn't have much time to do anything like that. I still got my gym in and that kind of stuff, but like even that was hard. And basically not much personal time. It was all put into more work.
Well, obviously, that all paid off because I think if we're going by realestate.com.au's numbers, in the last 12 months, Plum Property has sold over 350 homes.
Yeah, it would be about that.
Yeah, so talk to us about that, going from your apartment to what Plum Property is today.
Yeah, well, so for the, first year it was just me. And I started straight away talking to other agents in the marketplace. And the goal was always to get it beyond the business being about me. So when Plum Property started, Plum Property equaled Daniel Lee, right? I was the only listing agent. All the marketing was about me. We had a small rental business that wasn't really big enough to, make a massive impact yet. So Plum Property was Daniel Lee. And I had the goal of removing that, right? I didn't want it to be all about me. And that took, I knew I had to get more agents on. So I started talking with other agents in the local area, some of which I'd just known for years from being, like in the industry and bumping into them and having chats every now and again. And, I focused my attention on my favorite ones who I really aligned with and who I thought could really help me build the brand. And I was very, very fortunate that, that some of these agents came to Plum. And still to this day, I hold those agents in very high regard. And I know that I couldn't have done this without them. Like they really they helped to take the business from being just me to being something like...
To being Plum.
To being Plum. Exactly. Shout out to Vern Gilbert. He was the first one to join us. And then, Kim Saunders, Tyler Bean, later on Brett Andreas and Liz Browning. Some of the absolute standout agents in our office. And so, I was recruiting some young talent as well as sales associates and bringing them through, doing what I did back when I was getting into it, learning from a mentor and then going out on my own. And some great agents who have gone through our associate program are great agents today. But that was what helped me blossom this business into something bigger than me.
Yeah.
And, I just continually tried to help and improve what those agents could get in terms of resources and everything from Plum, and making sure that, our agency fulfilled the role of supporting them in doing what they do. And eventually about 6 years into the business, we were at a size that, I just felt like, so I was still in 2022, like a year after COVID, that really big year. It was exhausting, and trying to grow the business and do sales. Like I had a team of 4 and trying to build the business and everything. And I just wasn't spending much time with my agents because I'm always out just doing appraisals and selling. And I said, I can't keep like this. If I don't change, this business isn't going to change. We're going to stay at this level.
Right.
And I just always thinking bigger. How can I generate more income for the business so that I can grow this business bigger? And still my plans are still way bigger than where we are today.
Yeah.
And I just saw that it's not an advantage for my agents for me to be out there competing in the same areas as them. And I can offer more to this business if I step down. So I stepped down from sales, and before I stepped down, I needed to come up with a plan. What am I going to do? And I had started talking to some other agents in the real estate world who were at agencies and wanted to start their own, and they were thinking of joining with Plum.
Yeah.
Right? And I spoke with a few agents, and I never ended up doing it with them because I didn't know them well enough.
Yep.
And I wasn't just going to start an agency over the other side of town with a great agent just because they were a great agent, because there's a whole lot of risk that can come with that.
Yep.
And those agents eventually started their own businesses and are doing well. But I thought, is there a way that I can help these agents in a different way? Because there's quite a lot of agents that I met that didn't want to start their own business because they were too scared. And I was like, I kept saying, don't be scared. Like, you can do this. You're at the right point in your career, and they didn't do it. And it's because they don't know how to do all the rest of the stuff, and they don't want to think about it, and they're scared of failure, and they don't have a good business partner to go with. So I thought, geez. And there were some other models popping up. I'm not going to say Plum Partners is the only model out there that supports agents, but there were some other models popping up that would providing some kind of service to help agents do that. And I thought, you know, there's definitely a market there.
Yeah.
And that's the market I need to be in, because I've been that agent. I've done that. I've been in that position of becoming that successful agent and then making that move. And I know how scary that move was, but I know what needs to be done in order to start, run, and grow that real estate business.
Yeah.
And so I thought, if I could partner with like young agents like that, young or old, it doesn't matter, and help them into that transition and then help them to grow their business, I could really make an impact there. So that's sort of how Plum Partners, the idea came around, and we started kind of building the platform during that COVID era, and we launched in August 2022. And so now what we do is we do partner with great agents to help them, and also we also partner with other small real estate agencies that are kind of stuck. It's someone maybe who started their own business and they are finding that they're struggling to be a full-time salesperson and doing all the admin.
Yep.
And that happens to a lot of real estate business owners, and they kind of just don't go anywhere. They're doing okay, right? And they're making some sales, but they're doing heaps of admin, and they're just not doing enough sales to actually make enough money to grow the business, and their time is all messed up.
Yeah.
And so we can come in and clean that up and help them to focus on particular things that they should focus on, and not focus on non-dollar productive activities that we can handle.
Gotcha.
So they're kind of our two clientele.
And now, when you say Plum Partners, Plum Partners partners with an agent or partners with an agency, what does that actually mean? Like, what do you get in there and do?
So what we do, so let's say you were an agent at an agency and you're writing, you know, let's just call it $500,000 in GCI, and you're like, I don't really like this place. I'm not getting great value here.
Yeah.
And it may be that. It may be just that you want to start your own. A lot of the time what I find is that it's agents that are at an agency and they're just not getting a lot of value, right? The split's too high for what they feel they're getting in return.
Yep.
Okay? And I don't want to talk about splits too much, because I think that that's all overhyped and not looked at properly. It's all about value, okay?
Okay.
Some agencies charge their agents 50%, right? But for the 50%, they give the agent so much support, maybe even their own associate, heaps of marketing, great mentorship, great training, right? And the value's there, it's great. And then you meet other agents and their agency's taking 50% and the boss is never there, they're not getting any training, they don't get any marketing paid for them, there's just hardly anything.
Yeah.
So for that agent, they're getting ripped off.
Yeah.
So, you know, usually like, for whatever reason, the agent doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are just like, I'd love to start my own, but they don't know how to do it. Right.
Gotcha.
So what we will do is we'll set up their company, we'll set up their website, we'll give them all the technology they need. And, you know, if you were to go start your own business in real estate right now, you'd need a couple of staff to do the admin, to do the bookkeeping, to do your design, to order everything for you, just basically run the business, right? Because if you're going to do it yourself, you're going to be doing 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
So you need some employees. So then, you know, you've got to be a manager, you've got to find good people, you've got to train them, you've got to look after them. And, you know, that's hard. That's the hardest bit, because finding good people's hard, keeping them's hard. You've got to train them. And then what if they leave? You start all over again.
Yeah.
And it's very disruptive to a selling principal who's trying to spend all their time just getting listings, and they're always being pulled back into the business. And so what we do is we just take all that pain away, right? And so an agent can instantly launch their business with us within 8 weeks, have their full brand, have their website, have all their lead generation, have all their systems and setup just all taken care of them.
Yep.
And all they have to do is focus on listing and selling. And if they want to grow the business past themselves as well, they need to focus on recruitment as well. And
Gotcha.
I help the agents by providing training and mentorship along the way in the different stages of their business.
Gotcha.
So, you know, and so their business is keeping a higher portion of the commission that they would normally get as an agent in an agency.
Mm-hmm.
However, they are building their own business. They're
Yep.
stepping up as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking on, potentially their own premises and a few other costs. But a lot of the fixed costs and worry and risk is
Guidance.
taken away.
Guidance was one
and
of the main
guidance and
thing. Yeah.
mentorship is gone because we're taking care of that and providing them that mentorship, that partnership,
Yeah.
which is super important and
Yeah.
valuable.
100%. And that's awesome. And I want you to give the people watching this 3-4 tips let's start off broad first. Because you're someone who just went from being basically a salesperson to an agent to then a business owner and then a second business owner who's, is a bit more into the modern type of licensing almost, licensing and online service-based businesses. So you're someone who's seen everything from just the classic traditional sales route all the way to the most modern business right now. So for people out there who are just stepping into business, whatever it may be, doesn't have to be real estate, what are your biggest tips for that person?
Stepping into business, well, firstly, you need to have a skill.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need to learn a craft of some sort, right? And know how to do that. Like if I was going to go start a plumbing business right now, I'd need to have at least a foundational level of what plumbing's all about.
Yeah.
Understand, how to fix a toilet at least,
Yep.
But so basically, I think first of all, you should work in the industry that you're going to build a business in for another business first.
Yep.
For a period of time until you've got the competence and confidence to say, well, I think I'm ready to do this on my own now. The second thing is to have a strong mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're going to... It's challenging.
Yep.
It's not going to be easy. You are going to get knocked down. You are going to have people telling you it's a bad idea. You are going to face times when money is tight and you're working more and sacrificing more and you're going to wonder if you did this, so should have done this, and you're going to question whether it was the right idea. But that's all part of the journey, and you've got to recognize that at the time during those hard times that this is all part of it. All right, I will come out the other end of this. And honestly, I've had heaps of moments like that, and then I always come out the other end, right? Because I just always have that mindset that I'm doing the right thing, right? And this is gonna work, and just not giving up. So that's the second thing. The third thing is get great at sales. As the business owner in whatever you're doing, you have to be good at selling your product, right?
Yeah.
Selling the vision, and that's also for recruiting as well. Selling the vision of your business, where you're going, how you can provide an opportunity for this person to work within your business and make something of themselves. So you got to be good at sales, and sales is everything, right?
Yeah.
If you're good at sales, you'll make it in anything, right? Even doctors are sales,
Yeah.
right? I'll give you a good example. I went to a new doctor a few months ago just as a one-off because my doctor that I've been seeing for over 10 years was away.
Right.
But I needed to go to the doctor. So I just said, oh, screw it. I'll go to this other clinic that had opened up near my house. And I went in and I saw the doctor. And this doctor was obviously new at the clinic, right? And I went in there and he was just trying to build rapport with me so hard. He was like, where are you from? What do you do? Oh, fantastic. I love this and I love that. And he was trying to dive deeper and deeper and just really get to know me. And then he said, where do you live? And, why did you choose to come to this practice today? And, I know what he was doing. He was trying to drum up future business, right? Because he was obviously new at this practice and he's trying to get more people to go like, I like this doctor, I'll go back to him.
Yeah.
And so he was doing sales, right? And he's a doctor.
Yeah.
But he was good.
Yeah.
This guy was good, man.
Yeah.
And I bet you that doctor right now, because that was a few months back, I bet you he's booked.
Right.
I bet you he's booked right up because he was selling. And so you've got to be good at sales and you've got to be great at leadership. Now, leadership is something that's like, it's a very, how do you know if you're a good leader? I don't know. I still don't know if I'm a good leader.
Yeah.
But one thing I know is it's very important. And so leadership, what's that about? It's about showing up every day. It's about leading by example. It's about showing everyone in this business that I'm going to work harder than you, right? And, you know, helping them to understand that you do want to help them and that there is opportunity in this business for you to be great.
Yeah.
Right? And that's my mission as well with my business, is that I want everyone to get to think that there's no better opportunity for them out there than right here. That's my goal, right? If you're never going to succeed with everyone, right? But that's the goal. That's my mindset, is how can I make this place better for my people? And having that mentality has probably kept my culture strong over a long period of time, which has given me sustainable growth and overall some decent success. And
Awesome.
I will always continue with that vision of trying to make my people better.
That's amazing. And now, speaking of my people, let's bring this all home to your people, for the real estate agents out there, who may not be, big enough to work with Plum Partners or big enough to start going out on their own. The guys that are just facing rejection after rejection after rejection and are struggling to keep going. What is your one big final advice before we wrap up?
So you're talking about like just young agents?
Young agents that are hungry, they're willing to learn, but they're just getting into the game, and
If they're
no one knows
just
them.
getting into the game, the best thing they can do is work with a very high performing agent. That's the best thing they can do. Okay, and also, if possible, a one that is also a great mentor. So a great mentor being someone that actually cares about developing you as a young agent, isn't just an agent that's all about themselves and doesn't actually care. It's hard to know, of course. But, there's some great agents out there that would be fantastic mentors. So, and staying in that role with that high-performing agent for maybe 18 months and really learning the craft, learning how to close business, learning how to conduct yourself in every situation in front of potential future customers, learning how to do a listing presentation, and most of all, getting absolutely unstoppable at being a prospecting machine. That is the number one thing you need to be good at to be great in real estate. An unstoppable prospecting machine that understands the power of a pipeline.
Mic drop. There we go.
Boom.
Mic drop.
I'm out.
Absolutely, man. Look, it has been an absolute pleasure, man, having you on board. I'm definitely sure people are going to be wanting to see more of this, so we'll definitely have to set up a part 2 after this.
Anytime.
But this has been absolutely awesome.
Wicked.
And thank you so
Mate,
much for coming on board.
Pleasure.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
bro.
Bye-bye.
No worries.